Good morning and welcome back. I am so excited. Today we get to do pasta. I won't even talk that long because pasta. I don't need to say much about it because pasta. I'm amazed. I really thought pasta was incredibly tricky. I thought it was something that normal people didn't do, and I guess, well, I'm probably not that normal to begin with, but I can do this, and my kids do it with me. So it's something fun that everybody can do. You'll see on different videos you watch of other people, if you're like me and you're researching how to make pasta, I just kind of watch video after video, and some people add salt and some people add oil, and I have just found, and maybe it's the fresh milled flour, maybe that is a difference. It's just fresh milled flour and egg. You don't want to put oil in it, you don't put salt in it. You do salt the water a bit heavier so that the flavor gets in there that way, but it's 2 ingredients. Fresh milled flour and egg and a little bit of elbow grease. So I have my hair tied back today. I'm ready to go. Now, the flour we use, I heard on Sue Becker's podcast, one of the guests said that they use the Ezekiel flour to make the pasta. I think you can use pretty much anything, any fresh milled flour to make pasta. What I have found for me that I just get really good results with, that I think tastes very good, half soft white wheat, because we don't need the hard white because it's not rising, it's not a yeast thing, and half kamut. And I have a little bit about kamut here because I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't heard it. I was saying kamut or kamut, and people were laughing at me. So I think I was at Sue Becker's store and I asked, is there kamut here? And she was like, one of the people working there, lovely, wonderful, was like, what did you say? And I'm like, kamut. And then she's like, kamut? And I said, oh, okay, yeah, yep, okay. So there you go. So I have a little blurb here. It said that when freshly ground from berries, kamut flour makes excellent pasta. It's a favorite among connoisseurs of homemade pasta because it gives a less grainy texture than durum wheat. And perhaps that's why more than half of the kamut grown in the world goes to Italy. So I think if we're using some kamut there, then I think we're on the right path. If Italy says okay and they're like the, granddaddy of pasta, then I'll listen to them a bit. But it's got kind of an interesting history. I was reading I have 2 books, the Essential Homegrown Flour book by Sue Becker, and then I have the new book of whole grains by Marlene Ann Baumgartner. And they both talk a little bit about kamut, that there's this kind of crazy history that an Air Force pilot went to Egypt and he scooped a cup of grains from, this tomb that he was visiting, sent it to his father in Montana, who's a farmer, and he grew it, and it grew twice the size of any of the crops in Montana, any of the wheat there, and little by little it took off until I think it was 1978 or something. 1977, a man named Bob Quinn, whose father was also a Montana farmer, found a jar of it, and they planted it, and it took off, and they started showing it other places. And there's indications that it might be easier on the stomach because it doesn't have as much gluten-forming properties as like a hard red wheat or something. So people with more sensitivities could eat this easier. So he actually trademarked the name kamut so that it wouldn't be hybridized or mixed with anything else. So when you buy kamut, it's a trademark name, and you're buying kamut unmessed with, the actual kamut, so you can feel good buying it that it's not genetically modified or anything. But they say the history of it is iffy. Maybe he bought the original Air Force guy in 1949, bought it from a street vendor who made up the story about the tomb. Either way, it got to Montana. That's for sure verifiable, and was grown there. And from there, it's taken off little by little. And it says, while the story is fascinating, you can't know the origins of it, but it's a Khorasan, Khorasan. I'm not saying it correctly. Khorasan Khorasan wheat was introduced into Egypt. They're not sure when it was actually introduced into Egypt, but local legend in Turkey, where it's still grown today, says that it's called camel's tooth or the prophet's wheat, and it was probably the grain that Noah carried on the ark. That could be legend, it could be folklore, but that's kind of a neat thing to think about. I mean, obviously there was grain on the ark, so why not kamut? That's kind of fun. So we have our little lesson for the day on kamut. But I would say if you ever have the ability to buy kamut, it works really well. You can add it into muffins, into breads, anything. If you do a full-on bread with just kamut, it is denser. It's more like a cornbread, and it doesn't rise as much. But it's got a like a nutty, buttery-ish flavor. I enjoy it. I think it's really good, and I think it gives the pasta that we're going to make today a really nice flavor. If you're like me and excited and ready to make pasta, let's go. This is our soft white wheat that we're really familiar with, you know. And this is kamut, which is quite a lot larger. I think it's a beautiful grain, if you can say that about it. It just looks like it's kind of filled with a honey or something. It's just a pretty grain. So this is one of the few things that I actually weigh out, because usually I know my cups and I know what things look like, I know what they feel like, and I feel good. When you make pasta, you can use Ezekiel flour, you can use all soft white wheat, all, you know, any grain you can think of, you can try and make in pasta. Everything has a different weight to it. So a cup of one thing might not be a cup of another. So for me, for pasta, I tend to weigh it. In the end, we want 500 grams of a flour of your choice, or multiple flours of your choice, 500 grams. It's roughly, for the soft white wheat and for the kamut, it's roughly 1.25 cups of each. It's off by such a little variance. You know, I'll weigh it here so you can see. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference in the end. Usually, I just put everything in the same bowl and then just mill it together. But if you've never seen kamut milled, I'll just do it separately so you can see what it looks like, because it is a different looking flour. So I'm going to do 1.25 cups of kamut here. I have my scale tared out. So 1 cup is about 193 grams. So that's 1.25 cups of kamut is 246 grams. So I'll just add a little bit more. Okay, so we have 250 grams of kamut, and then I'll tear that so it's at 0. I always close my lid so I don't accidentally go from here and spill into here and then sit and pick out different berries. So because I'm clumsy and I know myself. So 1 cup of soft white wheat berries. That's 206, and the other one was just under 200, so there's a difference there. So that's 258. So 250, 250. So I'll mill these up and I'll show you the kamut separately, but don't put it away, because when you make pasta, you want extra flour, and I'm just going to use the kamut, not a mixture of both, but I want to mill that separately so that I know I have 500 grams of this, and then when I have that together, I'll mill some kamut separately to have sprinkling flour for the pasta. So I will start milling these. This flour, it looks like a cornmeal or a corn flour where it's gritty, but when you touch it, it's so smooth. It's not as gritty as it looks. And that, I think, is what makes the pasta you know, nice and light, but it just looks different than it feels. It's a neat flour. It's certainly more gritty than your soft white wheat, but it just looks like it would feel, if that makes sense, a lot grittier, but it doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna say something here. If you want to be traditional, you combine your two flours, or however many, you could use 6, 7, 8, whatever. You combine your flours, put it on the counter, make a well, and you're gonna crack your eggs right into it. So, I've done it to say that I've done it. Yay, I did it. It's not that amazing. It is not an accomplishment. Because I did it enough, I thought that's how you were supposed to do it. So it takes one little second for that pile to just get a dent in it, and you are chasing egg all over your counter. And egg is fast on a counter. You're sitting here scooping and scraping and doing this, and you're not doing what you want to do, and your heart rate goes up, and all of a sudden what is fun becomes stressful. What I do now is, because the very first part of mixing it, you do get, you know, your hands caked with wet egg and flour, and you're scraping it off and everything. I have found if you get a mixer out, the ink paddle attachment or roller attachment is fine. I've not done it in a KitchenAid, but I'm sure you can. I crack my eggs and put them in there, and then put the flour in and let it mix for a while, and it's going to form its own ball. As soon as it gets into a ball, it's going to be sticky and wet, and you're going to think it's all wrong, and you think, oh my goodness, this is not working. I should add more flour. I should add more egg. Don't. Trust me. Trust the process. You just need to knead it, and your hands will get a little sticky, but not as much as if you just do it all by hand in the beginning. If you want to do it by hand, just get your scraper and scrape down your hands every now and again. You're fine. But I think it's better to put your eggs in here, then put your flour, let it mix itself into a ball, and then we're going to knead together until it becomes supple and beautiful and amazing. And it's faster than you think. Okay, so you need 500 grams of flour and you need 7 eggs. This is different than if you have made pasta for years with your all-purpose flour or your 000 or 00, whatever it is, flour that's like extra super light and fine. I think they say 5 eggs is all you need. I tried it with 5 eggs. Our flour, this health-filled, beautiful flour that is rich in nutrients, is denser. It's just different. So as we know, we can take our recipes that we love and just tweak them or convert them a little bit to work for our goodness, right? So 7 eggs, 500 grams of flour. My daughter said, if we make homemade bread, do we make homemade eggs? And I said, I guess so. Our chickens make homemade eggs, but our chickens lay eggs. They're different sizes. They're different, you know, I can't say. I don't think they're extra large eggs. It seems to be every time I've made pasta, which I've made a lot of it, 7 eggs seems to do the trick. Try it with 7 first and then see how you feel. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like and you can make your judgment calls from there. So right now I'm going to put my 7 eggs in here. What it looked like. It's a sticky, gloopy mess. First off, do not put flour down. We are only working with what we have mixed so far. I have found I tried to use a silicone mat, but it's sticky. So every time you move it, the mat wants to move, no matter how good the mat is. So I just use my counter, and it's once you're done, just kind of scrape your counter down. Don't spray it with water yet. like scrape everything you can get off first and then spray it to clean it. We're just gonna dump everything straight on the counter. We have our roller. I'm gonna get everything out from the inside. Check. You want all this because you measured it all out, so you know it's correct. Okay. Have your scraper or some sort of thing you can scrape up with right handy. Get prepared. You have clean hands. Get prepared for them to be very sticky after a minute. But all we're going to do is knead for at least 5 minutes. And it's not like you need a lot of pressure. It's not tough to knead, so you can just use your body weight into it, but just get into a nice rhythm. You will think in the beginning, it's too sticky. I need more flour. This isn't gonna work out. And then give it a couple minutes and you're gonna think, oh no, it's starting to dry up. Maybe I need to add oil or something. Just fight the urge. At one point in the beginning, I did start to add a little oil, and it did make it come together better. But when I cooked the pasta, I don't think it tasted as good. I don't think that the texture was right. And I think it was the oil that did it. So I stopped using oil and I found the pasta was better. So I'm just sticking with my guns here and just the flour, just the egg. And right now it's not looking great. You think, oh no, it's all right. So I kind of chase down on my counter all the little crumbs that have gone astray. I've seen a lot of different fancy kneading methods and complicated patterns and rhythms. I just push it out, roll it back. Push it out, roll it back. When it gets long, I flop it up. See, it's been just a couple minutes and it's already looking leaps and bounds better. My hands are starting to get a little bit weird, but that's all right. I'm not using muscle force. I'm really just leaning my body into my hands. Before I tried to stand still and really, muscle it, and I got tired and it wasn't fun. This is all right. Usually, see, I didn't wear rings on this hand. I shouldn't wear these rings, but they don't come off. 19 years on, my skin has grown around them. It takes a lot to get them off, so. There's some sticky stuff on here that's just not pulling up, so I'm just gonna scrape it up. Kind of a neat color too, between the kamut and the orange of the egg yolks. I'm curious to know what you think about the kamut. I guess I'm looking at the world a little differently now that I can enjoy looking at different grains and wheat berries and have an opinion about them. Who would have thought, right? See, it's starting to really come together now and be nice and silky. We're not there yet, but that's a nice dough. If you've ever made something without seeing it done or understanding it, like I kind of did with pasta, everything is like I've messed up. And then it just kind of comes together, like right when you're ready to give up or add something else, it just all of a sudden you realize your hands are like, oh, wait, this feels good. Okay, I can do this. As a tip, I was doing it by my drawers here, and I had left a drawer open and was just talking and realized I got a ton of flour and little pasta particles in that drawer. So close all your drawers when you're doing this. So now I'm noticing it's getting a little bit fuller, a little bit tougher to knead. It's resisting more. Before you could just squish on into it. Now it's not fighting, it's just a little bit tougher. So I'm noticing that. My hands, it feels a little bit differently, so we're just about done. The test is that you can push into it and it pops back. You see it? So when you push in and it puffs back up, you'll still see your indentation, but you know it's pretty much there when it's puffing back up after you touch it. So see this beautiful silky dough, and you can see all the flecks of the fiber and the wheat germ and all the goodness in there. This is ready. We're just going to sit it to the side for about 10 minutes. All right. So now we have this smooth, silky ball that just feels really cool. It's a neat dough to handle. And as you make this more and more, when I had said, okay, now I feel like it's resisting a little bit, you'll know the feeling when it's just about done. And if you push in and it sinks in, it comes up a little bit, but not quite a lot, keep going. And if you push it and it comes up like we showed you, stop. You don't have to do anything else. This is forgiving. This is not hard. You have a big window of time to do things with it. So don't think that this is like high stakes baking. This is happy, enjoyable baking. This is fun cooking, not the crazy timed, high pressure. So find a towel. Don't wet it or anything, just a dry towel. Kind of wrap it in there. We're going to let it just sit for 10 minutes. Now we're going to take our scraper and scrape up anything. There's not too much on the counter. It's really not as messy as, unless if you do it with the well and the egg goes everywhere, then it's messy. So that's just my thought. But I'm going to clean up. We're going to let it rest 10 minutes, and then we'll start to make lots of different kinds of pasta. Okay, I just wanted to show you. It's kind of an addiction to make pasta, because I started out with one thing, and then I got another one, and another one, and another one, and we use them all. They're really fun, and we figured out how to do links, so your computer challenged friends. So everything I have, I'll link below, and everything is very, very affordable, and it's a lot of fun. First thing to say, to do any pasta, you don't need any equipment or anything. All you need is something to roll out on, and a kind of a guide, if you will, and a cutter. And you can make pasta noodles by hand. You can figure out if you want capellini or spaghetti, linguine, whatever. If you want lasagna noodles, then that's a lot easier. These are the cannellini boards here, and I have the kamut that I ground, so we have a lot of flour. The rule is flour often and flour a lot. This stuff, you want it to dry out, but it needs to dry with a coating of flour on it so that it doesn't stick together, because boy, it will stick together. And like this, it's a neat little noodle that just curls over itself so that it can pick up all the sauce. So you have nice mouthfuls of sauce and pasta here. So just keep sprinkling as you go. So usually you just pinch off. Here's our lovely dough. Just pinch off some. We usually have one child that makes all the balls and the other two will use them. So with these boards, you just need a pea-size amount. Pick which design you want. And you just put it on your thumb, the pea-size amount here, and you're just going to roll your thumb over and it follows you and it makes a little circle. It is so easy, and once you get the hang of it, you can really kind of mindlessly do it. while you're watching TV or listening to a book or, you know, music. All you do, it's just like that, and you roll your thumb over it and it follows you. You kind of finish the curve there and drop it down. And then just remember, after you get about 10 there, just sprinkle, kind of get them in there. So let's do a different one. Not only are they fun to eat, they're a really pretty pasta, you know. So you could dry these and give them as gifts for Christmas or birthdays or whatever. I mean, homemade pasta, you can't do better than that. Ooh, that one didn't go so well. They're just neat designs. It just turns over on itself. So those are really easy to make. They're fun. Kids can do it. Adults can do it. That makes it nice. Okay, this, I don't even know what to call it. The manual pasta maker, I guess. It'll be linked. This is so easy. You pick what you want. Do you want linguine? Do you want spaghetti? We are going to do the elbow macaroni. I want to keep saying tubular, and that sounds ridiculous. So you just grab a big hunk of pasta. You want to keep covering your pasta up every time you're not using it. Just keep the air off it. You just kind of squeeze it in there. I'm not going to do a whole bunch. Usually I fill it up, but we're going to be demonstrating a lot. So we have screwed our desired choice on one end. It doesn't even matter which end. So you put this on the other end, and then we're just going to get it to where there's resistance. All right, so then you'll start to see it come through, and we'll have close-ups. But really, all you're doing is pushing it out however long you want it, and then you just kind of cut it off. I should have had a pile of flour down. So we just kind of, whoop, and then we have the cutest little macaronis, and we did it ourselves. I love it. I think it's fun. So we just get it to come out to the desired length. You could have really long ones. And then a quick cut seems to do it. If you do it real slow, the end, the tube squishes together, and you want it to be open so all the sauce goes everywhere. So just a quick cut. Do a little shake in the pasta, or in the kamut flour. And it is time consuming, but if you can do it whilst watching a movie, whilst doing stuff with your kids, you know, it does take time, but it's not hard work, you know what I mean? You can bring a chair around here and sit down, and, you know, we usually do stuff in teams. My daughter likes to cut one of them, and the other likes to do this, and then one is doing the flour, you know, but if you have time, like one day, you can do batch cooking. So you could just do pasta after pasta after pasta, and then you've got your pasta for the week or the month or however much you want to do. For us, pasta is like a quick meal. So if we were out longer than we intended to be, and I don't have time to make the meal that I had planned to make, if you have pasta, you have a meal. Just, you know, make some sort of meat, or just make pasta sauce and some vegetables, roast it in the oven, and it's like a quick, easy, delicious, and nutritious meal that we get to enjoy. So I love having pasta on hand. So you have to trade off time, a little bit of time, that you can do 100 other things while you're making pasta, but then you have homemade pasta all ready to go for anybody who wants it. And if we have different pasta stations set up, somebody can be making macaroni, while somebody is making capellini, while somebody is making lasagna noodles. So if you work together, and if it's just you, I mean, you know what you want to eat, so watch a movie, make some pasta, and you have it all set up. And it's lovely to think ahead and give yourself a blessing for other days when you don't have the time. So you see the cute little macaroni noodles. They even have the grooves on the side, which are there to help absorb and hold on to your sauces that you make. So I'll hold this as steady as I can. We're just twisting the other end, and as soon as it comes out, as long as you want it, you can even kind of curve it over to make it more of a elbow shape. Just a quick whoop. And as soon as it's down, liberally flour, and you know, don't squish, just kind of rub it in the pasta or the flour here, because this is going to help it. See, those aren't floured very well, and they're starting to stick together. This is why we want to flour liberally and flour often, so we don't have to worry about them. Because as they touch each other, they'll naturally be inclined to stick together. So you use way more flour than you think you actually need, and it comes out in the water, so it's not like you're just eating a bunch of dry flour, you know. All right, with any pasta roller outer thing that you get online, and we'll link a couple in Amazon, they're all pretty much the same. They come with your base unit that has rollers on it, and we'll show everything close up. And the rollers will move closer together. This starts at 0, and it goes all the way to 9. So as you adjust it to the higher number, the rollers move closer together, and you get a thinner pasta. So I have an overhang on my counter, so I use that. Usually I'm over here, but I don't think you can see as well. And it comes with a C-clamp, so you can clamp it. I use a little mat just because I worry about everything, and I don't want to regret having a scratch on my counter that I could have prevented, so I don't think I need it. It's got rubber stoppers and everything, but so I just clamp it. There's a hole here, and tighten it up just so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and then it comes with a crank handle. Now, a lot of the machines, you can have the crank handle, and you can order a motor that goes on the side of it so that it does the rolling for you. Usually I have kids here rolling, but we can't fit everybody in the shot. So. Okay, so you start at 0. You're going to pull a hunk of your pasta off. These are all about the same size. So you want to end up having a hunk that you stretch out to be as long as the top is here. And it might not seem like a lot, but it stretches out quite nicely. So I have it across, I have it at 0, and I'm just going to roll it. And it comes out funny, but we're going to fold it up on itself and roll it through a couple times just to get a flat sheet going. So it's getting more flat here and more rectangular. Ideally, you always want a sheet of pasta that's the entire length here, one uniform rectangle. How it turns out after a while, I always have a lump at the top somewhere, which you cut off. So. Okay, so we've done that 3 times. Send it through. Now, you'll see videos where people say, oh, it's okay to skip a step, like skip from 1 to 3. I find you get better, more consistent pasta if you go through on each level, 1, 2, 3, 4, you go through twice. If you feel it start to get sticky, you're just going to dust, because you don't want sticky pasta. just a little layer. So we've gone from 0, we're going to 1. If you're making capellini and you want the super most thin pasta, you can go all the way to level 9. I find I usually go to about 5, and that's good for us. That's very thin. But, you know, as you do this and you get the hang of it, you will find you do whatever you want to do and what you like. So I'm on level 1. I'm going through once, twice, level 2. So the rollers are moving closer together. You see how it's lengthening and flattening. Now I'm going to level 3. And I feel it's getting a little bit sticky, so I'm just going to coat it a little bit. So it's on level 4. Nice. Long. Now we're going to level 5. I don't usually go past 5, but you can get this really thin. I think you could do rice noodles, like ramen-y kind of. So I think that's good. You see how you can see through it? I could probably read through it. We have our command center here of our house. See, I always end up with an extra bit, but you just cut it off. Now, if you like use a 9x13 pan for lasagna, you can roll this out to be a perfect 9x13 and just do 2 of these per layer. I love that. So you can hang it to dry. I wouldn't, because it would dry like this, and if you try and open it, it'll crack. But I mean, then you just put both those pieces on. I would lay it on the counter, put a little flour down, and then pop it on the counter. So, and I've already done another roll, so I'm going to show you real fast. I'm going to show you an attachment. We'll do some linguine and some capellini. Each of these rollers have little hooks here, and you can add attachments to get the kind of pasta you want. So this is spaghetti linguine, and we'll show everything close up too, but there is little slides. You just slide it right on. It won't go all the way through. So you slide till it stops. No need to force it. It should just come right on and come right off. So now we've done our pasta sheet to the thickness we want. So now I'm choosing linguine. So I'm putting it in the linguine hole. Okay, so here's our knot. Some tips. When you have young helpers, or if you forget, because I have also, you'll be rolling and then you stop for a second and you go backwards. It's going to mess up the sheet of pasta, but just go with it. You can hang it and eat it, but just try and remember always one way. And I'll show you here. Okay. So we're going to go right in. I lay it out here so it can roll through, and I put my hands through. And just like that, you have linguine. What? Look, fresh, homemade, beautiful linguine. It is full of nutrients, full of goodness, right? Oh, gracious. So you could, I'll take half, put it on the counter, flour it a little bit. I just kind of run it through the flour. And then you could make a little twisty bird's nest. And then you can just pop that right in a Ziploc bag, put it in the freezer, or just cook it. You don't even have to let it dry. Just put these straight in the water once you get enough for a serving, because you want to cook them at the same time. I like to hang them. Typically I make my sheets longer than this, but it's easier to show this way. So you can make little bird's nests of pasta, which we'll put here, or you can hang it. So I just get get so excited. It's so easy and it's so much fun and you get such good food. So here are the numbers: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you see as I turn them, as 0 is very wide apart and it gets closer, 9 would be the closest, so the absolute thinnest that you can have the sheet of pasta. So we're going to do a lasagna noodle together. I'm going to try and have this as wide as the roller allows here. And this looks chunky, and that's fine. We're just going to roll it through. Roll it. And it comes out wonky. We're going to just fold it up on itself. Go ahead. We'll fold it again. I'm going to roll it through again. And now we'll go to 1. And again, a lot simpler when there's somebody to roll. We go through 1 twice, 2, 3, I'm just pulling, not pulling, just having my hand for it to come out into. I don't pull on it. Everything here, we're letting the roller do the work. You don't need to pull anyway. Did I do 2 on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I feel it's a little bit, getting a little bit tacky. So we flour. Okay. And I put it on 4 already. Yep, sorry. Ooh, I leaned it that way, so try and get it as straight in as you can. And not go in at an angle because it'll wrinkle. Nothing's ruined. It's just easier to not have to fix a problem later. Go ahead. So this is 5. We'll go through 1 more time and then we're great. Sweet. And there you go. And you can see my hands through it. All right. Okay, so we'll do a linguine. Here's our pasta. And you can always fluff off any too much flour. It comes off when you boil it, so we're gonna roll this way. This is gonna grab it in. I'm going to reach underneath, and it's linguine. What? Here we go. Oh, we do need to put it in the right slot here. And roll. Other way. Yep. So just slide it in there. And I bring my hand under here to catch our beautiful spaghetti. Look at that. Spaghetti. So I'm going to dust it really well because you don't want it to stick together while it's drying. And we're going to hang it right up on the drying rack. Well, I did it the most backwards way possible. Okay, it's got these slides here to slide in here. Okay, we'll put that in. Okay, let's go. Oh, see, I went a little sideways, so it gets a little funny. But what? All right, I did a simple oil and garlic sauce with a little bit of Italian herbs, just so you could see what it looked like cooked. And we have our cannellinis that we did, the cannellini boards, the macaroni, the linguine, and I accidentally mixed our spaghetti and capellini together in my rush to boil. So here's a mixture of both. But they don't stick together. They're beautiful. I mean, it's just, they're so nice. I mean, it's pasta. You can't go wrong. It's pasta. They're all, you know, different textures, different thicknesses, used for different purposes. But, you know, it's just, it's so lovely to be able to have the things that we want to eat, and we can make really great choices with it. We have to have a taste test. The girls were right over there going, can we try it? Can we try it? So, even though we know it's good. What do we think? Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. We have a noodle smorgasbord here. We'll just get a plate and put different noodles on it. That'll be our dinner tonight. A very early dinner. All right, I wanted to show you, should you get this type of machine, again, you do not need an expensive version. They're really all wonderful, and they all have great reviews. I just wanted to show, there's so many different folds of metal. You cannot just put these in the dishwasher or wash them by hand. You really can't get them wet. So you just get a pastry brush kind of dedicated to cleaning these, and you just brush. And you can stick your roller thing in here and kind of move the bits here and brush and move it around and brush and use gravity so it moves it. And it really, everything comes out. But just keep going around the edges, you know, go through. I recommend doing it over the sink because I'm going to have to vacuum, but that's fine. So you take your time and do these. These I washed by hand. The manual pasta maker, I just washed by hand and dry right away so nothing has a chance to rust. And the cannellini boards get you know, a nail brush cleaner that's dedicated to the boards. And because again, you don't really want to get these wet a lot. They'll warp after a while. So just really get in there. You can see the flour that comes off. They're made of bamboo. They're kind of antimicrobial anyways. But you can really get everything off with a good nail brush. And Dollar Store has these, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, whatever. But yeah, and again, do it over sink. One other thing, when you make your long noodles, whether they're linguine, capellini, spaghetti, if you put them in the bird's nest or you dry them on the rack, it doesn't matter how you dry them. Once they hit the boiling water, they're going to turn into noodles. So it's not like you're having to choose between having straight long noodles and, you know, it's just whatever's easier for you to store. Do you have a nice kind of rectangular box you'd rather put long noodles in because it's easier for you to judge how much you want to eat? Then freeze it that way or put it in the fridge that way. We live and die by Ziploc bags or reusable Ziploc bags here, so we like to just throw things in bags and have them in the freezer, and the kids can say, okay, one bag is one serving, and that's what they have for lunch. So that works for us, but whatever works for your family. But I have had so much fun, and I hope that you have too, and can see you don't need any of these things to make pasta. You can roll it out and cut it by hand. You can get any of these very cool, I call them toys, pasta toys, but really, important tools in your kitchen. You can get them so affordably and easily and quickly with Amazon, and you can have just any kind of pasta you want. God is so good, right? And he says he's the bread of life, and we need bread every day, and this is bread. This is our bread. Bread doesn't just have to be in the loaf form, right? Bread is anything with our home milled flour, freshly milled flour, and we get to eat bread 10 times a day, any way we want, and we get to enjoy it. So I really want to hear how this turned out for you. I am so excited. This was one of the big things to me. When we got over the hump of thinking, we had to give up some stuff, when we figured out we could do this, it got really exciting. We were like, we can have pasta again. And so we had pasta making days, and so we have a lot of pasta in our fridge to have for later, or freezer, and so we are all happy. So this excites me. Food excites me. This is wonderful, and I hope that you try it out and let me know how it goes. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and we are praying for you, and I'm so thankful for you. I hope you all are doing well and staying healthy. We'll see you later. Okay, so as per usual, I forgot something. We have eaten all the pasta but this. We all gobbled it down and thoroughly enjoyed it. But then I thought, I didn't show you the boiling of the pasta because it's very hard to shoot over in the corner, and I had to do all that pasta at once in different pots, so I couldn't do it right here. Anyways, I wanted to tell you, you cook it or boil it just like your basic pasta, the capellini and the, I've been learning about the body again, and I keep wanting to say capillaries. The capellini, the thinnest pasta, you put it into boiling water. I put a little bit of oil in the water just to kind of help it not stick, but I've always done that with all of my pasta, and salt in the water. And because this is literally egg and fresh milled flour, there's no seasoning in it. So, and our flour is a little bit denser, a little bit different. However much you like to salt your pasta water for your regular pasta you're used to, double that, because that's going to give the pasta a little bit of flavor. And as it boils, it kind of seeps into the pasta. So double whatever you like. I don't want to give a measurement because you might be very sensitive and not want a lot of salt. Other people may want a lot. So go by your gut. Whatever you normally do, double that, and then season amply when you have cooked it. But that's normal with pasta, right? And the capellini, I think it takes 3 minutes, maybe two minutes to boil and be done. The linguine, a bit longer. The elbow macaroni, longer than that. But again, I don't know how to tell you a time because some people like it very al dente and some people like very squishy, done pasta. So when you're standing over your pasta, it really does look pretty similar. So you're going to be able to go, oh, that looks done, and then just taste one, test it. This is very, pasta's a personal thing, and everybody likes it a different way. So basically, it's cooking and just like your regular pasta. I mean, we've just made pasta. It's just fresh. It tastes so much fresher and lighter and just very good. But I'm sorry I didn't show you it boiling. There is one difference though, because there is a lot of flour on it. When you boil the pasta, when you first put it in, it's going to go and foam up because that flour is going to affect the water. And it's going to be very foamy. So it does take a little bit more to wash your dishes afterwards, but maybe don't fill your pot as full so when it boils up, it's not going to boil over. But the flour does affect it.